Selamat siang to you all. Mr. General Secretary, it is wonderful to be here. I have been looking forward to this since the day that we found a date that worked and were able to accept the invitation. It was most gracious of you to invite me here, and I am ecstatic to be part of this event today. I want to make sure and thank all the people who made this happen. I want to thank and acknowledge the leaders of the Nahdlatul Ulama and the Muhammadiyah. Those of you who are present, thank you. A special welcome also to the other faith leaders and members of the diplomatic corps who are here and those who are watching via live stream as well. And of course, a warm hello to the people of Indonesia. From the beaches of Bali to the volcanoes of Sumatra, this is truly an extraordinary nation. I'm confident that's not a unique statement, that you've heard that a lot before. It's a very special place. For now, of course, we're all focused on beating the virus that was born in Wuhan. And before I begin, I want to express my condolences to all the Indonesians who have lost their lives or suffered economic hardship as a result of that virus. You should know that the United States of America is with you. And as I told President Widodo today and Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi, I am very confident that we will emerge stronger because of the very nature of our two countries. It was almost 1 year ago that our nations mourned the passing of the great Muslim scholar Battiar Effendi. He gave voice to our shared commitment to democracy, to tolerance, and to open dialogue. His work aligned with a deep respect for what we often refer to in the Americas as unalienable rights. Spent a lot of time as the Secretary of State talking about this subject. And I know you hosted a conference just yesterday to discuss the report of the State Department's Commission on Unalienable Rights, which I created. And I want to also mention I am pleased to say that the chair of the commission, Professor Marianne Glendon, is with us today. Marianne, thank you for being here. I understand that it was a great day yesterday. Thank you. So we unveiled our report in July of this year, and it created something of a stir. Secretary of State don't usually spend a lot of time on what critics call an obscure subject. But it's not obscure, and it shouldn't be obscure, and it can't be obscure. It is foundational to human dignity and to freedom. The founding principle of the United States is very, very simple. America's Declaration of Independence affirms that governments exist to secure the rights inherent in every human being. Indeed, as the Commission's report argues, the United States was the first nation founded on a commitment, a deep commitment to universal rights for all human beings. Now, the most fundamental of these rights is the right to freedom of conscience, including religious freedom. It's the basis for the most important conversations about what conscience tells us and about what God demands of each of us. It's one reason that religious freedom is the very first freedom enumerated in our Constitution, in the American Constitution. As an evangelical Christian, my faith informs how I live, how I work, how I think. And it is exceedingly rare in the scope of human history for a nation to make those promises to its citizens. It is rarer for nations even to keep them. Our respect, America's respect for God-given rights, is the defining feature of our national spirit. It's why America stood tallest among Western democracies in supporting your independence from colonial rule and has been a stalwart supporter of Indonesia's transition to democracy over these past 2 decades. The fact that our people embrace freedom and uphold a tradition of tolerance is very special. We should never lose it. We must continue upholding our traditions, and we must do so very actively. We can't assume our freedoms and our faith will live on. We must stand for what we believe. And that's what I want to talk about today. That's my message. I'm here in Indonesia, because I believe that Indonesia shows us the way forward. There is literally no reason that Islam can't coexist peacefully alongside Christianity or Buddhism. And I know this is something that is sometimes hard to grasp for those few who twist Islamic teachings to justify violence in the name of this faith. Indonesian Americans know that this is wrong. We know that peaceful coexistence and mutual respect possible. Indeed, Indonesia's national motto, translated into English, is unity amid diversity. Now that's not so different from America's, which is out of many one. If you think about them, they have much in common, much that overlaps. Indeed, your Constitution from 1945 clearly declares that every person shall be free. Every person shall be free to practice the religion of his or her choice. Thomas Jefferson could not have said it better. And just as the American founders looked to the Western tradition as inspiration for the structure of our freest society, your founders too found inspiration in your traditions, your own traditions, and established Pancasila, foundational principles that enshrine the importance of faith in the life of your country. It determined that Indonesia's embrace of diverse religions, people, and cultures would become a core pillar of your country's success. Flexible, inclusive, and tolerant democratic culture that has emerged since the Reformasi of 1998 has defied the skeptics who believe that Indonesia can only be governed by a strongman restricting the rights of its people. Indonesia has since then given the whole world a positive model of how different faiths, different ethnic groups, You've created this model of how different faiths and different ethnic groups and political ideologies can coexist peacefully and settle their disagreements through democratic means. This is glorious. And you should know, too, that I accept the core problem that democracies aren't perfect either. We get it wrong sometimes, too. And as the Commission's report documents, most of American history can be understood as a struggle to realize the Declaration of Independence's beautiful promises. But we must always distinguish, and this is central, we must always distinguish between free and democratic nations that inevitably fall short of their principles, and those regimes that reject the very idea of human rights, the very idea of religious freedom, the very concept of self-government as a possibility. The former, democracies, the former can progress, the latter can only oppress. We stand, all of us, for a tradition of tolerance. I want to say, too, certainly your national leadership has played an important role in fostering the harmony that we all seek. But in any free society, it's a nation's citizens who ultimately sustain and propagate its core ideals. In that respect, your remarkable organizations, all of you sitting here today, have been powerful forces in the defense of unalienable rights. And you helped spur independence. You provided a voice and a conscience for the nation during more than 3 decades of authoritarian rule. Your very own Gustur helped lead Indonesia's transition to democracy. His profoundly humane vision and teachings inspired the birth of the humanitarian Islam movement. His legacy lives on today in the current generation of leaders who, in 2014, launched the Islam Nusantara campaign to repudiate ISIS, hateful and violent brand of Islam. And it lives on in the movement for shared civilizational values as well. Everyday groups like NU and the Muhammadiyah represent tens of millions of Indonesian Muslims who believe in a tradition of tolerance within a thriving democracy. I want to remind all of you here today that your work is now more important than ever. Blasphemy accusations which destroy lives have become more common. Discrimination against non-official religions renders their practitioners second-class citizens who are subject to abuse and deprivation. I know, I have great confidence in you all. I know you'll keep speaking out against such blows to pluralism. I know, too, that you'll encourage your leaders to strengthen both Indonesia's proud traditions and its newer democratic institutions. And I know, too, that you'll draw on your faith to advocate for the human dignity of your fellow human beings when you know that they are being mistreated.